So the culture view around death that I chose was Ghana. I chose Ghana because their culture is different than the United States, so it was really interesting. Their funerals are really party-like. They have lots of bright colors, and it's just a really different culture compared to the United States and how we view death. So it was interesting to see that can have over hundreds of people. This is due because it's public. They place advertisements around the town, such as billboards. The billboards can cost from $600 to $3,000. The billboards are placed to show their loved one and inform people of the gathering that's going to take place so that they can celebrate the life of them. Money on funerals can be as much as weddings. They can spend from $10,000 to $2,000 on a funeral. Kawaku, a funeral planner from the article I read, he was in charge of 30 funerals at once at one point. He's done so many funerals, and he can see like how important it is for these people and how important like the gathering and celebration of life is important in their culture. They use extravagant caskets, and the funerals are typically held on weekends because they want people to be able to go celebrate. So if they don't work, they can go out and have the gathering and party to celebrate the person who has passed away. The dress code for the funerals is black and red. It is typical that they use these colors in order to remember the person and show their respect. There is crying and mourning and praying at the funeral, as it is in our culture, but after they're done with the mourning and praying, then they have the party where they provide drinks, food, and music. There's some pictures of the Ghana funeral in the article I read. The people are wearing red and black. This is how they show their respect. Some people wear dresses in order to dance, and there's music, and it's a big, lively celebration to honor the one who has passed. You can see a photo of the casket. It's a fish. People are carrying it, and so that's what they bury their loved ones in, caskets that are decorated, and they carry them to the burial site. So in comparison to the US, Ghana has one party for the funeral. It involves praying and grieving, but the party also involves music, dancing, food, and drinks. The body is taken to the burial site in this gathering, and the caskets are decorated. The average cost of a Ghana funeral is $15,000 to $20,000. It costs a lot, but people borrow the money and they ask people for donations, and that's how they pay for it. In the United States, we have 3 different parts that can take place. There's the viewing, where people go and can see the person in the casket, the memorial service that typically takes place in the church, and the burial, where the person is placed at the burial site. U.S. funerals may or may not have food and drinks. It's a quiet celebration. It's more of a grieving time than a party, and the caskets are regular and not decorated. This makes the cost of the U.S. funeral $7,000 to $10,000 is the average cost. Caskets in the Ghana funeral is so interesting because they show really an appreciation for the loved one who has passed away. The tradition started in a town in Ghana, mainly Akan region of Ghana. This is where there was Seth Kaway. He was a carpenter, and he's kind of the one who started the whole casket celebration, where they choose objects that the person enjoyed that mark their profession or their dreams. These objects are chosen to represent them and give them an identity as they pass. So this tradition started off, and it is still being used. People choose caskets that represent them. You can see the black shoe, that can be somebody's profession, or the saw casket, it shows a carpenter, or the cell phone to represent them by something they enjoyed a lot, or pineapple. The plane, somebody who wanted to travel and maybe it was their dream. So the different caskets are used to remember them. It's really interesting to see how much art and time they spend on these caskets, which can cost quite a bit. So there's a lot of criticism because Ghana invests a lot of money on their dead instead of the living. So it involves a lot of costs that they use, but it is invested in something that they hold as really remarkable, and they really stand for. They want to show how much love and time that they want to spend with the loved one after they pass in the party. So Their celebrations can take place at church to begin with in the morning and then outside. So people are encouraged at times to pick a coffin for their celebration, which is really interesting. So in the United States, it's completely different. So their celebration is interesting because as Human Development by Birth that we read, it's interesting to see how they have a different culture towards death. They're really open about it, and people are shown these giant celebrations. So there's less anxiety about death. Children are exposed, adults are exposed, people talk about it, it's not taboo, and people accept death in their celebration. So it's interesting to see how they educate with these parties and celebrations and through their culture and different events that they do. It shows people that death can be accepted. It's also interesting to see how they apply the dignity and respect after death towards the individuals who pass away. They show lots of respect and they choose a casket for them, and how life continues after their death and they can be remembered and have the honor and dignity of the giant celebration that takes place. So this is why I chose Ghana. It was really interesting culture to see that is really different than the US and can be really beautiful. So this is my presentation. Yeah, thanks.